Okay, so I'm continuing 815. Lesson 815. This is the review of solving quadratic equations. I'm going to go over the last and the fourth method. Um, so if you recall the last story I told you in class before we went on our um, school closure was that story about x equaling negative b plus or minus the square root. I'm writing down at the bottom if you didn't notice. The square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided over 2a. Right. So again, how did I remember that story? There was a negative boy who was all mixed up, who went to a radical party because the boy was too square. The two was too square, boy, so b squared. Don't think 2b, think b squared, okay, because the boy was too square. He lost out on getting the phone numbers of four awesome chicks. So when the party was over, boy was very sad at 2 a.m. Right, 2 a.m. All right, okay, so that's the formula I'm going to use. So the first and main thing that I have to do when I go and use this method can work with any problems. Any of the methods above, we can do this method, and it'll always work. If you don't want to factor, fine, don't have to. Quadratic formula always works. Don't want to use clean the square? Quadratic formula always works. Just have to make sure, though, you set the problem equal to 0. If that's not done, you can't use this method very well. So this problem's already set equal to 0, so we can just identify our A, which is what here? 1. What's our B here? 12. What's our C here? Remember to look left, negative 24. All right, so I'm going to take those three values there and plug them in. What am I plugging them into again? X equals the negative boy who was all mixed up, who went to a radical party because the boy acted too square. He lost out on getting the phone numbers of four awesome chicks. If you saw my post on this, by the way, so he went home when the party was over at 2 a.m. I think I posted a bunch of YouTube quadratic formula songs. You want, look up some songs on the quadratic formula. It helps you remember it better by just memorizing a song and the formula that way. Do it. Whatever way you're going to remember it. All right. So what am I going to plug in here? Negative 12. Why negative 12? Because opposite sign of positive 12. Plus or minus. Yes, I need to leave plus or minus. Square root. B squared. 144. 12 times 12. Minus 4 times 1. That's the A. Times the C. Negative 24. All right. So right off the bat, if we end up getting a negative inside the square root sign, we are going to stop the problem and just say we can't do it because it'd be an imaginary solution. But automatically, what I notice right away is that negative and that negative there will make this a plus. So I'm going to be adding whatever 4 times 24 is, which I think is going to be 96. So this is going to be 144 plus 96. All right, so if I add 4 to 96, that's going to make that 100. All right, so that'll be 100 plus 140, so that's going to be, oh, don't forget about 2 times 1. So I'm going to have x equals negative 12 plus or minus the square root of what I say 240 over what? 2. So would you like to box this and make this your final answer? Of course you would, but it'd be completely wrong and you never find that answer on a test or a quiz. Sorry. No, you wouldn't. You got to simplify that 240. How? Oh no. Well, let's start by just saying that's 100 times 20. No, 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 no. That's not good. Take that back. Hold on. Let's see. It's not 100. That's going to be 10 times 24. All right, that does not help me. Neither one of those are perfect squares. So can I somehow refactor them, reshape them to find some perfect squares in there? Sure. There's 5 and 2. There's 4. And there's 4 times 6, right? Well, I'm going to also factor that one to a 2 and a 3. So if I am looking for twin factors or perfect squares, there they are right there. All right, so what does that mean? That means the rest of those guys there, the 6, the 3, and the 5, are not going to work out, right? Oh, sorry, no, take that back. Who's not going to work there? The 5 and the 3, right there at the bottom of the branches. The 6 we have factored to the 2 times 3. All right, so what does that mean 240 is? 240 is the square root of 16, 2 times 2 times 4, times the square root of 15. So out of 16, that's going to become a 4. So this is going to be negative 12 plus or minus 4 radical 15. All over what? 2. Done. No, not done. Why? Remember what we do? We're going to divorce the family. The fraction is going to get divorced. What? Yes, we're breaking it up. Negative 12 divided by 2 plus or minus 4 divided by 15 over 2. All right, that's going to change to negative 6 plus or minus 2 radical 15. And I think that's it. We can't do any more simplifying. We got rid of those denominators. That's our final answer. Okay. So if you want to, at this point, you could pause it, try number 16 on your own, and then come back and see how you did with this next one. All right, so pause it. Probably didn't pause it, did you? Okay, well, fine. Watch me do this one again. Where do I start? Well, I want to remember I'm going to use that formula, the quadratic formula right there. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. All right, so I got to identify my a, negative 1. My b, what's that? Negative 3. My c, 9. All right, so b squared, negative 3 squared. Okay, plus or minus the square root of negative. What did I do? I made a big mistake. See it? There we go. I threw the b squared in too early. B squared is going to go in the parentheses. That's going to be negative b, right? Negative boy. So negative 3 is going to make that positive 3. Plus or minus negative 3 squared, which will make that a 9, minus 4a, negative 1, c, 9. All right. Automatically, again, I can see, boom, boom, 2 negatives. That's going to make that a positive. So that's going to make that 9 plus 36. All right, so if I add those two together, I'm going to get square root of 45. Ooh, that's a good one. That's going to be 9 times 5. Take the square root of that. That'll make a 3 come out. 3 gets shot. 5 in the radical. What's that all over again? This whole thing is going to be, this whole fraction, it's going to be over what? Negative 1 times 2, or 2 times negative 1. So this is going to be 3 plus or minus the square root of, what did I say? 3 radical 5. Where am I getting that again? From that 9 up there. That 3 came out. 5 prime, radical, single, no twin, all over negative 2. Now, you could split up the fraction at this point and say, will that work? Can I split it? You could, but will 2 go into 3? No. And so it's not really that good. Now, when you look for this answer in your test or quiz, you're probably not going to see it. What? No, you won't see it. Why? Well, because math convention, for some reason, loves to complicate things on you, and the denominators seldom are negative. So what does that mean? They're going to take that negative there, and they're going to move it up here. And that negative is going to hit that and that, which is going to make that positive 3 turn into a negative 3. That plus or minus is going to become a minus plus, okay? 3 radical 5 over positive 2. But guess what? We don't leave minus pluses. We just change it back to plus minus 3 radical 5 over 2. So that's my answer for x. There, x is those two answers. All right, let's look at number 3. All right. Ooh, they're trying to trick us. Do you see why? Pause it, see if you can do it, and then check it out. First thing I'm going to do is not identify the A, the B, or the C. The first thing I'm going to do is remember, how do these problems have to be set up? They have to be set up to standard form set equal to 0. Oh, okay. Why? Because if it's not set equal to 0, you can't identify the A, B, or C. So negative 1x squared plus 4x minus 9 equals 0. I have to subtract 9 from both sides. So my A is negative 1, my B is 4, my C is negative 9. All right, so remember the quadratic formula, negative B. So negative 4 plus or minus the square root of B squared, 4 squared, minus 4, A, C. All right, all divided by 2A. All right, now where do I start these problems again? Start in the radical on the numerator. So 1, 2, 3. Right, so this is going to make this 16 minus 36, or the square root of negative 20. This is your moment to stop, because if you are asked to solve negative plus or minus, negative 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 20 over negative 2, you don't recognize that that's a radical with a radical with a negative under it, you are going to not remember that this is a no solution case. You're not going to be able to leave a negative in the radical there. So there's no solution. X is not equal to anything. All right, last one here, 3x squared minus 9x equals x minus 5. Okay, we're trying to complicate things, again, by not putting it in the way you want to see it. So what do you have to do? Well, you have to take away your x. What from? Oop. Take away your x, your 1x, from your 9x. Add your 5, add your 5. That's going to make that a complete 0 then on the left side. So this is going to be 3x squared minus 10x plus 5 equals 0. Right, so can you identify your A, B's, and C's now? What's your A? 3. What's your B? Negative 10. What's your C? 5. Okay. What am I doing? Negative B plus or minus, so negative 10 makes that positive 10, plus or minus the square root of negative 10 squared, that's going to make that a positive 100, minus 4AC. All right, so that's going to be 12 times 5, that's going to be 60, so that's going to be 100 minus 60. All right, so that's going to be positive 10 plus or minus the square root of 40, all divided by 2a. 2 times 3 is 6, right? Okay. Good answer? Done? No. Who do we have to deal with? 40, right? Well, how are we going to deal with 40? Didn't we see 40 earlier? 45. No, we didn't. Okay, so 40. Um, let's make that a, let's say, trying to think here. 5 times 8. Okay. Well, that'll make that a 4 times a 2. There's my perfect square. 5 times 2 is going to leave me with a 10. So that's going to be 10 plus or minus 2. Where's the 2 coming from? The square root of 4. Right? Like those three got square rooted. Times the square root of 10 divided by 6. Final answer? No. Why? Well, you can still kind of simplify things. Well, how? Well, split the fraction again, 2 separate, and see if we can simplify anything there. Oh, so I'm going to have my 10 divided by 6 plus or minus 2 radical 10 over 6. Well, they're even there, so I can divide by 2 and divide by 2, make that a 3, make that a 5, divide by 2, divide by 2, right? So that would be a 1, right? But 1 times radical 10 is just going to stay a radical 10. All right, so I have 5 over 3 plus or minus 10 radical 10 over 3. But these are what now? Like denominators. So now we can make the family happy. They had a divorce. Now they're getting back together. Remember, though, to be careful. 5 plus or minus radical 10 all over the same denominator now, 3. That's our answer for x. Final answer there. Boom. We are done. So you can try the last 2 homework problems now from this packet. Good luck. I hope you did well. There's a shot of all 4 of our answers there. You could pause it if you want to write them down. Good luck.